NBA Top 100 Players of 2019-2020, 100 through 76. Since the intro is basically the same and it refers back to the original article, I'm just going to point you back to that article first, and I'm just going to jump ahead and get straight to the rankings. NBA Top 100. Just missed the cut. Although numerous players have had good seasons, not everyone can make the top 100. The following players are the first few to miss the cut for one reason or another. Either they did not play enough games, one of either their offense or defense was lacking, or they were simply not on par with the 100 players that did make the list this season. Notable cuts: Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, Buddy Hield, Terry Rozier, Thomas Bryant, Dennis Schroeder, Stephen Curry, Jaren Jackson Jr., Draymond Green. NBA Top 100, 100 through 76. 100 through 96. George Hill, Elfrid Payton, Kelly Oubre Jr., Evan Fournier, Lou Williams. Number 100, George Hill. Hill is top 30 in the league with a true shooting percentage of 66.8%, as well as adding 5.1 win shares, good for 40th in the league. His lackluster defensive and rebounding stats keep him grounded at the 100th spot. 99, Elfrid Payton. Payton plays his role to near perfection, ranking 10th in assists per game, 7.2, and 8th in assist percentage, 38.6. He is also 11th in the league in steals at 1.6 per game. Turnovers and poor shooting percentages are his biggest flaws. 98, Kelly Oubre Jr. After a hot start to the season, injuries have dropped Oubre several spots in these rankings. He still ranks among the best in the league in steals, 30th, defensive rebounds, 45th, and points, 51st. Oubre ranked 496th out of 511 players included in this study in personal fouls per game, and his assist numbers lacked greatly, 1.5 assists per game. 97, Evan Fournier. Known as a sharpshooter, Fournier makes the cut in large part due to his 18.8 points per game, good for top 50 in the league, and his 2.7 offensive win shares, which is top 65 in the league. However, his low rebounding rate and high turnover and usage rates leave something to be desired. 96, Lou Williams. Although Lou Will is known for his ability to score at will, his new role on the revamped Clippers squad has allowed him to excel in assist and assist percentage. He sits at 5.7 assists per game, 29th, and 29.9 assist percentage, 36th. He's also still 51st in scoring at 18.7 points per game. His biggest downfalls are his defensive and rebounding deficiencies and, more importantly, his 2.9 turnovers per game. 95 through 91. Robert Covington, Zion Williamson, Donte DiVincenzo, Tristan Thompson, Enes Kanter. 95. Robert Covington. Covington earns his spot on the list primarily through defense. His 5 highest ranking categories are steals, 15th, blocks, 20th, defensive win shares, 33rd, defensive rebounds, 36th, and steal percentage, 53rd. While he maintains a solid shooting percentage, his issue with racking up fouls and turnovers and not finding enough open teammates for assists drops him a few spots in the list. 94. Zion Williamson. Zion ranks in the top 20 in offensive rebounds, 2.9, points, 23.6, and PER, 24.2. If this list was solely based on per-game production, Williamson would be far higher. Unfortunately for him, this is a total season list, causing his 19 games played to hurt his standings greatly. He also has room to improve in turnovers and defensive stats. 93. Donte DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo may be considered somewhat of a surprise on this list to a more casual fan, but his top 20 ranking in defensive win shares, 14th, and steals, 19th, cements his place in the top 100. His biggest downfalls are his numbers of turnovers and turnover rate. Of course, sharing the court with Giannis doesn't hurt his standings either. 92. Tristan Thompson. Thompson's positive resume is made up largely of his rebounding stats. He ranks 4th in offensive rebounds and 12th in offensive rebound percentage. His defensive rebounds, 27th, and defensive rebound percentage, 73rd, also rank very well. His turnovers and personal fouls hurt his ratings more than any other stat. 91. Enes Kanter. Much like Thompson at 92, Kanter slides into the top 100 primarily due to his offensive rebounding. He ranks 5th in the league in offensive rebound percentage, grabbing 17.1% of available offensive rebounds. Aside from this impressive aspect of his game, his stats are relatively mediocre. His lackluster assist numbers cause him the most harm. 90 through 86. Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, Jaylen Brown, Aaron Gordon, and Marquese Chriss. 90. Julius Randle. Randle is a top 40 scorer in the league and ranks among the top 27 in both offensive 27 and defensive 18th rebounds per game. His consistency is also big in this ranking as he appeared in 64 games this season. His 3 turnovers per game and high usage rate on a team that doesn't score well drop him in at 90 on this list. 89. Derrick Rose. Offensive production has always been Rose's calling card, and this season is no difference. His 2 highest ranking stats are assist percentage, 6th, and assists, 30th. He also maintains an 18.1 point per game average, good for top 60 in this league. His high usage rate combined with the 2.5 turnovers per game are the most notable negatives on his resume. 88. Jaylen Brown. Brown has burst onto the season in Boston as a borderline star. His 20.4 points per game ranks him at 32nd in the league. This, along with his defensive rebounding, 5.3, and steals per game, 1.1, makes him a deadly two-way wing. However, this high rate of acquiring fouls and turnovers leaves room for growth in the young star's game. 87. Aaron Gordon. Gordon was once considered to have one of the brighter futures amongst young stars. Underwhelming play and some injuries have dropped his stock steadily over his young career. Above average numbers in rebounding, assists, and blocks have kept him in the top 100, but poor shooting percentages and turnovers keep him out of the top 85 this season. 86. Marquese Chriss. With the new look Warrior squad, Chriss has stepped into more of a center role than his typical forward position. This has helped him bolster his blocks and block percentage, averaging 1.1 per game, 32nd, and 4.7%, 37th respectively. His rebounding has also been above average, but his turnovers, fouls, and lack of points per game keeps the young big man ranked at 86. 86 through 81. Dejounte Murray, Delon Wright, Nemanja Bjelica, OG Anunoby, and T.J.Warren. 85. Dejounte Murray. Murray excels in his role as a lanky point guard. His top 4 stat categories are associated with steals and assists, in which he averages 1.7 and 4.1 respectively. The young guard has the potential to be higher on future lists if he can continue to reduce his turnovers and increase his shooting efficiency. 84. Delon Wright. Another surprise candidate sneaks his way into the list due to his consistency and defensive prowess. Appearing in 65 of the Mavericks' 67 games this season, Wright ranked top 40 in both steal and steal percentage, where he averaged 1.2 and 2.6% respectively. His high turnover rate was his biggest downfall this season, along with his lack of scoring. 83. Nemanja Bjelica. Bjelica's contributions come from in large part from his miscellaneous stats. Along with his small number of games missed, his offensive win shares provide the biggest boost to his rating. He also ranks in the top 70 in both offensive and defensive rebounding. His high turnover rate, an average of 3 fouls per game, negate some of his offensive firepower. OG Anunoby. The guy with arguably the coolest name on this list locks down his spot the same way he locks down opponents. Anunoby ranks 9th in defensive win shares, 19th in steals per game, and 71st in blocks per game. However, Anunoby still has work to do to round out his game, as his assist percentage, defensive rebound percentage, and PER are well below average. 81. T.J.Warren. Warren's intangibles move him nearly into the top 80 players this year. He ranks in the top 50 in win shares, 35th, offensive win shares, 42nd, and defensive win shares, 48th. He also barely misses the top 50 in points, 51st, and steals, 52nd. His low rebounding and assist rates combined with his high usage rate leave him as high up this list as he is. 80 through 76. D'Angelo Russell, Myles Turner, Larry Nance Jr., Malcolm Brogdon, and Jakob Poltl. 80. D'Angelo Russell. D'Lo had a decent start to the season on his new team in the Bay. He continued his growth when he was once again dealt in a trade, this time to Minnesota. His injuries throughout the season drop his ranking slightly, but his top 25 ranking in assist percentage, 16th, points per game, 21st, and assists per game, 24th. Keeping him from moving higher on the list, along with games missed, is his high turnover average and low rebounding averages. 79. Myles Turner. Turner's biggest upside has been his defense this year. He ranks 5th in blocks per game, 2.2, and 18th in block percentage, 6.5%. He also ranks in the top 20 in defensive win shares and 2.8. Being a big man, it is expected that his assist rate and averages are his biggest downfall. It's also notable that he is ranked 273rd in steal percentage, although he's considered a defensive-minded player. 78. Larry Nance Jr. Nance's rebounding, which is top 50 on both offense and defense, lands him in the top 80 of this list. His 5.4 defensive rebounds per game and 1.9 offensive rebounds per game are his two highest ranked stats. His turnovers and assists rates leave much to be desired. 77. Malcolm Brogdon. Brogdon has been recognized for joining the 50-40-90 club in the past, and his true shooting percentage is once again a large part of his ranking. However, his assists per game and assist percentage are his two highest ranked stats, both falling in the top 20. His high usage rate and turnover stats outweigh some of his efficiency, however, leaving him just outside the top 75. 76. Jakob Poltl. Poltl's defense around the rim puts him in this position to round out the first set of rankings. His block percentage, 7.7%, and blocks per game, 1.4, averages both rank in the top 20 in the league. Strangely for a defensive big man, he lands in the top 50 in offensive rebound stats, but not defensive rebound stats. His lackluster points, steals, and turnover rate keep him in the first round of the rankings outside the top 75. NBA Top 100, 75 through 51, coming soon. Up next in our NBA Top 100 series is the next 25 players with the best stats from the 2019-2020 season. The first 25 is full of role players, surprising stats, and some thriving young stars. Numbers 75 through 51 include more rising stars, injury-prone former All-Stars, and serviceable veterans. Keep an eye out for the next article in the series.